We are live. Well, thank you very much. It's the penultimate day of COP, and I'm pretty tired. I had a shower today to wash my hair, so that's good. First in a few days. That's not true, but just to explain why my hair looks unusually good today. We're here to do two things. We're here to talk about a partnership with business schools that the GRP has been doing for a while, and we're sort of coming out event today. And we're also going to launch a call for proposals for nature positive agriculture in East Africa, the second round we do of this. So we're very excited about that. Having been around the COP venues, both in the blue zone and the green zone, this last 8 days, really building muscles in my legs. It's interesting that there are so many conversations going on, and there's a lot of stuff around the content of projects and initiatives. There are many solutions being discussed, a little bit cursory sometimes, but really interesting to see them. There's a growing trend to discuss ecosystems and the importance of working together and partnering to get stuff done. And I think it's in the spirit of that we are doing this. This is about models. This is about partnering. This is about working with projects on the ground, trying to strengthen these projects, locally led, preferably, or not even preferably, really want them to be locally led, but to strengthen them and give them the same conditions as you would if you were starting something somewhere else. And to also ensure that we're talking about proper resilience. We need to learn. There is so much we need to learn at GRP. There is so much projects need to learn. And therefore, we're partnering with really smart people, and some of them you will meet very soon. We're very happy to have one of those really smart people in the room with me as well. We had panels set up, and when people realized we were doing this on the 10th, they had already booked their return tickets. So some of our guests will be online. But that works. I'm sort of almost online in my head already. Now, with that, I'd like you to welcome Nate Matthews, the CEO of GRP, to give some opening remarks. Thank you, Nate.
Thank you so much, Jesper, and thank you all for coming on what is the penultimate day of COP. I know everyone's probably mentally and physically drained, but it's great to be here still, and the hub has been fantastic, and we're really pleased with how things have gone so far, and now we've got some big hope on what will happen in terms of the negotiations. But today we're here to talk about this fantastic partnership that Jesper alluded to, and GRP, we're a partnership of around 80 organizations now. We've been founded in 2014, so we've been doing resilience and adaptation before it was cool, and our focus is really scaling on-the-ground innovation, advancing and brokering knowledge, and engaging in policy. But if I had to sum us up in 2 words, as I've been told before, it's really about advancing resilience and how we do that in partnership with many others. And a primary thesis of our work is that to advance resilience, we need to really build the business case of investing in and supporting resilience. And we've done that in part through, earlier this week, we launched this report, From Risk to Reward, the Business Imperative to Finance Climate Adaptation and Resilience, with the Boston Consulting Group and USAID. So we're really pleased about that. But we're also trying to do that in other tenets as well. And it's a recognition that building the business case for adaptation and resilience has to be done in partnership because it's a really big lift. And partnership is an easy word to say, but it requires trust, which takes time, and it requires resources, and it requires effort. And that's why I'm particularly excited today to announce a partnership that has been building for over a year now with UNDP, but also with 6 leading business schools. So it's Yale, IMD, Oxford, EMST Berlin, University of Cape Town, Graduate School of Business, and the Asian Institute of Technology to build the business case for adaptation and resilience and really working with our local partners. And so as this year comes to an end, we will have 27 interns working in projects examining the relationship between the cost of capital and resilience. And this in places that are really bearing the brunt of climate change. And so it's really critical that the work that those internships will be doing. And we're really excited to see how their work can then be fed into policy, into the curriculum of the business schools, and into thought leadership and other work that both the GRP convenes, but also that our partners convene. And it's really a recognition that this evidence that they'll be collecting and that we'll be working on them with is critical to driving investment into adaptation resilience. So I'd like to first say thank you to all our partners, but also a big thanks to Jesper, who has really been at the forefront of this. He is our MBA grad in the team and has been a serial entrepreneur and has really dedicated his life to building sustainable businesses. So thank you, Jesper, and I'll pass it back to you.
Thank you, Nate. Yes, I'm referred to sometimes as the MBA, which I prefer to farmhand. Although farming is actually really cool. We're going to run a video now from UNDP. Is that all okay? Thank you.
Hello, esteemed colleagues. I'm Pradeep Kurukula Surya, the Director for Environmental Finance at the United Nations Development Programme. And I am delighted to kick off this highly anticipated side event at COP28, focusing on an announcement of Business Schools for Resilience, a new coalition of esteemed business schools partnering with UNDP and supporting, committed to advance the principles of locally led adaptation. Now, in our view, this coalition, member schools of the Global Network for Advanced Management, GNAM, comprising of ESMT, Berlin from Germany, IMD Switzerland, University of Cape Town in South Africa, the Yale School of Management from the US, my alma mater, the Asian Institute of Management in the Philippines, and Oxford University Said Business School in the UK, it marks a significant step forward in our shared goal of building resilience to climate change. The expertise that these universities bring in terms of research skill, development, data analysis, with their understanding of business acumen and facilitation will be invaluable assets to support our flagship initiative, the UNDP Adaptation Innovation Marketplace. Now, this multi-stakeholder platform aims to accelerate and incubate locally sourced adaptation initiatives. And by elevating these solutions to the investable stage and linking them with private and public investors, we can empower local communities to take ownership of their adaptation journey and crowd in both public and private finance. Now, UNDP has already experienced the positive impact of partnering with business schools through our Adaptation Fund Climate Innovation Accelerator Initiative, a global program under the Adaptation Innovation Marketplace. This program has seen MBA and master's students from the Yale School of Management as well as the Oxford University Said Business School come together and work alongside 22 local organizations who are at the front lines of climate change across 18 countries. It's supported and guided by UNDP, and we take a lot of pride in that initiative. Now, their contributions have been instrumental in providing technical assistance, in capacity building, and fostering a deeper understanding of local context. And that collaborative approach has demonstrated that there is immense potential for academia and local actors working together to drive transformative adaptation. Now, with the addition of this new coalition of business schools working alongside UNDP, I'm confident that we can unlock even greater possibilities. It's only by combining the strengths of academia, development actors, agencies, and local communities, a collective partnership of the willing, we can accelerate innovation, discover new solutions, and build more resilient future for all. So let us embark on this journey together, inspired by the power of collaboration and driven by a shared commitment to sustainable development. I wish you all the very best for the deliberations today. Thank you.
Thank you, Pradeep. Pradeep was confirmed to be here, and then he had 5 other events he needed to attend to. So he sent this, and I'm impressed because I could not have done a video like that in the evening of COP, I can tell you that. With that, if I can get Catherine and Juliana, if Juliana is online, on the screen, and then I'd like to ask Peter to join me here. Maybe here, so we have the microphones. This one? Yes. Thank you. Great. Fantastic to see you. If there's a way, we don't need all of them to be online. We just need Catherine in this particular one. But anyway, let's start. You have heard a little bit about why. I hope you understand the reasoning, the purpose of why we're trying to do this. It's about building and strengthening and connecting people that haven't been connected before. We have a number of different activities. Some of those will evolve and we will find new things to do together. But if I can start with you, Peter, tell us who you are a little bit and talk a little bit about the programs you're running and why this could be relevant for you.
Great, yeah. Hi, everybody. My name is Peter Boyd. I'm a lecturer at the Yale School of the Environment and a resident fellow at the Center of Business and Environment. That's probably the connection today with the GNAM business schools, because the Center of Business and Environment is a joint initiative and joint center between the MEM program, Masters of Environmental Management, and the MBA in the business school. I teach a number of different courses, mainly on leadership, sort of on the practical end, and the first course, a toolkit for agents of change from self to system, grew out of the executive MBA program at the Yale School of Management, and then migrated across to the Yale School of the Environment, more focusing on environmental leaders. So that's what I do.
Thank you. When working with your students, and I know you have a whole cohort here at COP actually doing some stuff. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we've got, and in fact, sometimes with these microphones, if one's too loud, the other one, our students are literally over the wall there. We have 20 students on my course, a course I teach called International Organizations and Conferences. It's a very practical course because we spend the term looking at are organizations and conferences fit for purpose, like the COP, and then they partner with NGOs and they partner with country delegations. So if there's any in the room that think I would take a Yale graduate and almost like have their free labor for a term and the COP, then that's what we do basically. So the 20 students pick somebody, they work hard over the course of the term, and then they work very hard here for a week, and then they come out with, I think, a much richer picture of what it all looks like.
That's brilliant. That's excellent. Thank you. I'm going to turn to Catherine. Can you hear us, Catherine?
Yes, I can. How are you?
Good, thank you. Lovely to have you online. Thank you. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do, and you know, allude maybe to why this is something relevant to all your work.
Excellent. I'm the Dean of the University of Cape Town Graduate School of Business. I've actually been working in Africa for about 20 years, first with Harvard Business School and then with Oxford, which is, of course, one of the GNAM partners. And at the University of Cape Town Graduate School of Business, the UCT GSB, we are Africa's leading business school. We're very, very pleased not only to be part of GNAM, but also to be one of the institutions that's really driving sustainability forward in Africa and around the world. I'm very proud to be able to say that among our faculty's publications, of the peer-reviewed publications that our faculty have produced in the past 4 years, between 98 and 100% of them each year has been relevant to one of the SDGs, and it's usually more than one of the SDGs. So the work that our faculty does, the work that our students do, and the work that the school overall does is very, very closely tied to this project. And one of the things that I'm most excited about is the opportunity for case studies. We have the best case writing center on the continent. And one of the things that the UCT Graduate School of Business Case Writing Center does is to write cases about African challenges and African opportunities, which are then used by schools around the world in classrooms around the world. And we're very much looking forward to working with this group and expanding this project into case studies and making even more case studies about these issues, because I think that's one of the ways in which we can create this bridge that you were talking about and to create the ecosystems that you started us out with.
Thank you very much. No, I mean, you're touching very important points. A business school case study is quite different from a development case study. I just want to clarify that, because quite often in the beginning I had lots of confusion in the room when I was talking about case studies. So these are tuition material case studies. You guide students through real life events that are historical, and you get them to work through the data, the challenges, and so on, as close to real life learning as can be, with a case study, text and video and whatnot. We have already done. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think that case studies are one of the things that really sets business schools apart. And people often ask, how is it possible to learn things like resilience? How is it possible to really engage in the world while sitting in a classroom? And I think the best answer to that is by getting students to do case studies in exactly the way that you just outlined.
Great, great. We've already done a few case studies with you. And also some research on value chains in more East Africa, which will be great. I think they're being published pretty imminently now. And as you say, will be part of what's available to all business schools around the world. That's great. I want to just check if we have Juliana online. If we don't, I will move on to questions. Nope, good. She was here yesterday and flew back, so it might be that she's at an airport or something. Peter, back to you for a question. When you work with students, and you have students from both the global north and the global south, are there any particular areas that are, and I know you have an answer to this question since you have your students here already, but if you, not just COP, but in terms of the challenges that Catherine mentioned, the particular challenges in an emerging market, what's relevant for the students to be exposed to and to explore, guided by someone like you?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think what's great about the partnership is not only the sort of the case studies that come out, but the internship piece. Sort of talking about sort of live applied experience. Like this. Case studies are great because they replicate, and as it sounds like for UCT, not only within UCT, but to the whole continent and the world. And the internship is obviously a much more intimate experience with that student. Take crudely, sort of a student from the Global South, of which we've got many in the university coming through our programs. Either the 3 degrees that are really relevant here for this partnership is the MBA, as mentioned. But there's also the Masters of Environmental Management, MEM, and then there's a great joint degree program, MEM MBA, a three-year course where they get a bit of both. the Global South student comes through, and I think they bring so much of their lived experience to the course and to the rest of the student cohort, and then can go back, and we've got scholarships, as I'm sure other universities do as well, to speed them back if they want to then apply their Yale knowledge back home. But I always don't underestimate the amount of lived experience they're bringing in to our university and the rest of the student body. And then to crudely sort of stereotype it the other way, the sort of the Global North student that gets to work on something like this, well, that's fantastic too, and another two-way learning opportunity, because they are taking the research, the data, the skills, all the great stuff that was highlighted in the video from the School of Management and Environment to the project. But then they're also sort of, enriched by an immense amount of lived experience on sort of getting their hands dirty on a case like sort of in partnership with you.
Great. So as part of the internship, they need to do something, a strategy for an entrepreneur or a marketing plan or a fundraising, whatever, as well as a paper that they need to write up on what am I taking away from this as an experience, because it's about them growing. So on that, Peter, Catherine, I will be back to you shortly here with a few questions. But Peter, I know you work a lot with leadership. Could you say something about leadership and the need for leadership in resilience work, in adaptation work, in a world that's changing so fast, it's difficult to keep pace?
Yeah. Well, I suppose it's a passion area of mine, because it's what I teach. But I believe that leadership is a tool, is something that we can teach to everyone, and everyone can be better at it. Our concept is the connected leadership. So arming a student or indeed a very experienced leader with the connection of their purpose, their deep purpose, and an articulation of that with their priorities. Where are they going, their potential, and then their progress? How can they actually sort of be better and achieve? But then connect that the other way from self to team, because anything hard can't be done alone. We need to do it in partnership. We need to form a team, not always from the front or the top, sort of in a formal structure, but on the side, and collaborate. But what a huge word, I think, of this whole COP coming from the World Climate Summit, which is a sort of private sector event up the road. Just like collaboration was just the name of the game there, as well as in here. And so self to team, and then to system, like to know the system you're trying to change, but to trying to change it with humility and a mixture of, I think, classic Western sort of systems thinking and also indigenous ways of knowing. So that sort of self-team system leadership toolkit, I just want to get that into the, sort of into the hands of everybody on the planet, basically.
Good. Well, this is a start, I guess. Catherine, back to you. You being at the moment the only African partner to this, and being who you are and at the university where you are leading on the continent, you obviously have a lot of say in where we steer this and what needs to be done. Could you tell us a little bit where you think we can work more together to achieve certain things for if I can call it the Global South, not just Sub-Saharan Africa?
Absolutely. I think that's one of the things that we're seeing more and more are the linkages and the ways in which countries in Sub-Saharan Africa, in fact, countries across the African continent, are dealing with both challenges and opportunities, which are similar to countries in Latin America, in Asia. I think the great value of work like this and networks like this, as well as the leadership and the insights that I've just heard from my colleague, is thinking about the ways in which we can learn from one another, but also drive forward our experience, whether that experience is a sort of narrow experience in personal ways, whether that's an institution level experience, country experience, continental experience. And I think that obviously there's huge opportunity in Africa, as we all know, and as I know everybody at COP has heard over and over for the past several weeks. By 2050, 1 in 4 people on the planet will be African. And so the question for us is not only how do we manage this, on the one hand, explosion of youth and energy and all sorts of the opportunities and challenges that come with this population growth in Africa, but also the population diminution in much of the rest of the global north as the populations are aging and contracting. And I think that creates a real opportunity. We were talking about leadership, for leadership from the global south and for leadership from Africa, which has historically been one of the places where things are really interesting things are going on, but where we haven't heard as much about the things going on. So I'm really looking forward to this project, to working with GRP, to working with the GNAM schools, to not only drive research forward, to not only create new opportunities of learning from one another, but also to make sure that we're highlighting the things that are going on the African continent and in the rest of the global south, so that we can learn from one another, but so that we can also make sure that we are just understanding all the things that have long been going on, which are incredible examples of resilience, as well as how those examples might be scaled across the global south and again into the global north as we face what is only becoming a more and more challenging world.
Thank you so much, Catherine. That's a brilliant response. I'm going to take that as your closing remark, if that's okay, because you really sum up a lot of stuff there. Peter, do you have anything you want to close with?
Yeah, I think the thing that exciting, just to pick up from the opening remarks, was just finding these positive loops, the idea of like pricing cost of capital leading to sort of increased level of resilience. We're finding that in lots of different other technologies as well, like say batteries and EVs, and then that loop that then leads into better battery storage and leads into better hydrogen. So finding these positive loops, I think, is really interesting. I just think that if there's sort of one big piece on this that I think we're all realizing, take the rise of not only the African voice in the COP, but the rise of youth voices, indigenous voices in the COP, which are also positive forces, is this idea of like we have to do this in partnership. And so that was such a big word in the introductory remarks and videos, and just it's so clear that to get anything done that's hard has to be done together.
Yeah, okay, very good. My job trying to moderate you guys is so easy when you're so good at it. Thank you so much, Peter and Catherine. Please, a hand. With that, we come to a close of the first part of the session. Thank you, Peter, and thank you, Catherine. It's Sunday. Thanks so much for logging on. Wish you a wonderful rest of the weekend, and we'll talk soon, I know. And then it's my privilege to move over to the next section of this session, where we're going to talk a little bit about regenerative, nature-positive agriculture in East Africa. Gerald, can you hear me?
Yes, Jesper, I can hear you.
Thank you. I'm going to hand over to you and go and sit down in the audience.
Thank you very much, Jesper, and thanks for the great session and part of the business school and how they support resilience. So for the RAIN session, I think it's going to be two-part. The first part, we're going to hear about the evidence on the ground, working with the innovations around the resilience in agriculture, nature positive. But also, we're going to hear from the people that make it happen, I mean, the donors. So we're going to hear from the Munich in terms of the support and the finance that are provided in the nature positive area. So the Resilience Agriculture Innovation for Nature is a program funded by the Shockwave Foundation and Munich Re Foundation, which was launched last year at the COP27 at Sharm el-Sheikh. And it has been working with almost 18 innovations across East Africa that are implementing nature positive solutions. It has been incredible 1 year, the first year, whereby there was sort of over 120 applications that received from GRP, and we were able to shortlist and work with 18 projects. But also recently, I think last month, we are able to announce the winners of the RAIN Challenge, and luckily we do have one among ourselves who will be able to speak more about their initiatives, local energy initiatives in Africa. Just to start, I'm going to start with Hamisi, who represents FSP in Africa. Please go and introduce yourself a little bit, and then tell us a little bit, how does the locally led nature positive agriculture support and improve resilience in East Africa? And perhaps give us a little bit of example about the initiatives that are led by the FSNP Africa in the nature positive agriculture section.
All right. Thank you so much, Gerald. Hi, everyone. My name is Hamisi Saidi Hinja. I'm working with the Food Security for Peace and Nutrition Africa, that is FSPN Africa. We are currently operating in East Africa, basically in Kenya and Tanzania. If you were to describe us, we are actually on the ground working directly with smallholder farmers, and that is basically our target is women and youth. And today I'll be happy to share about our very interesting project, that is carbon financing for environmental and agricultural sustainability and profitability. So this is a multi-sectoral intervention that intends to curb three major problems, that is poverty, hunger, as well as the climate change. And this is an intervention that is looking at empowering the youth and women, especially the smallholder farmers in East Africa. But so far, this intervention is at the implementation stage in Kenya and Tanzania. So how do we work? Basically, we are training smallholder farmers to understand about regenerative agriculture and to adopt the carbon farming practices that are positive in terms of the environment and also in terms of the soil. So as FSPN, we are doing that by training the smallholder first, mobilizing the smallholder farmers into groups. So we are using the lead farmer approach. And after putting them into groups, then we are training them into adoption of regenerative agriculture, understanding the natural ways to enrich the soil, as well as enriching the environment and making it green. And when we are doing that, basically for women and youth, targeting the very short period of time kind of farming. This is some of the value chains, including in vegetables and fruits, as well as other food groups. And so far, we are just focusing on the food crops. And we are using the satellites, AI, and machine learning to measure the amount of carbon that has been sequestered in the land. So these farmers, after adopting the practices, we use the satellites to measure the amount of carbon that they have sequestered after adopting the regenerative agriculture. And then after that, we are taking the carbon that is being sequestered is validated. And after validation, it is taken to the carbon market for the off-takers to take. And then the huge part of the sales goes to the farmers as one, as a token of appreciations for them to adopt these resilient and sustainability practices of regenerative agriculture. And then two, these act as the second source of revenue for them after harvesting yield. And then third, the environment goes back to nature. And actually, this is the purpose of sustainability and resilience. And on top of all, their soils become more fertile and healthy, leading into having a very nutritious and healthy plant. So generally, that's all about the carbon financing project that FSPN Africa we are working on in the ground. So it's really interesting for us by linking the technology as well as the local practices to enhance and boost the farmers by empowering and transforming farmers on the ground. Thank you so much, and over to you, Jim.
Thanks a lot, Hamisi, on the evidence on the ground and how the work that FSPN is doing advance the resilience on smallholder farmers. Now, I'm going to turn to you, Moses, as one of the mentor for the RAIN project. You've been working with a number of businesses and organizations in East Africa to try and support them implement their the nature positive agriculture solutions in Africa. Why it is important to actually nurture or support and mentor these innovations that are delivering nature positive agriculture in solutions in Africa?
Thank you, Gerald, for that question, and good morning or good afternoon to you all. Yes, I've been privileged to be a mentor as part of the GRP Rain Challenge. And I think having been an entrepreneur myself, the first thing I can say, building a business, building an enterprise is an extremely challenging and lonely and very intense experience. So nurturing these entrepreneurs who have put a lot of stake to build these nature positive businesses goes a long way to build up on their success and build up on their impact. I think when you think about it, how some of these innovations that we saw in East Africa are very innovative. So they built very robust technologies. They've come up with very innovative approaches, as Hamisi's organization is highlighting. And then moving from that technology, that innovation to a business model that makes sense, I think that's where a lot of nurturing, a lot of support needs to be done. So how do we move from technology and innovation, from the science which they have developed, to a business where we grow our customer base, we help them have access to finance, also measuring and communicating their impact. That's one thing that surprised me during the mentorship process. Like, I would see a pitch, and then once you spend time with the entrepreneur, you realize, wow, there's so much more that they're not communicating. The impact to communities, to livelihoods, within their business model is amazing, and that needs to be communicated. So nurturing these organizations, these startups, these enterprises, I think goes a long way to not only build resilience in their business models, but also grow and scale their impact when it comes to working with communities that they're based in.
Thank you, Moses, for that reflection. And I think I'm gonna cycle back on you again later. Let me move to Renate. As part of the first Rain Challenge funder in East Africa, why is the organization interested in working with nature positive agriculture solutions at first?
Hi, good morning, everybody, and thanks for having me, and thanks, Gerald, for the question. Yeah, we got really interested in working with GRP and working on this Rain Challenge on nature positive agriculture, because we feel that, of course, we have agriculture as a major contributor to CO2 emissions, and we have other side effects of conventional agriculture, such as land degradation, land use change, etc. But we also feel that agriculture done in a different way can be part of the solution to the climate crisis, can also be part of the solution to the biodiversity crisis. And we really liked this approach of fostering innovation in this area of nature positive agriculture. So what we were looking for as a funder was really an initiative or something that we can fund that would for one thing, have an impact on nature and on the climate, but also, and we see this very strongly in this initiative as well, have an impact on local livelihoods and food security. So this is these are all the aspects that we really liked about the Rain Challenge project and about this whole initiative. So we said, wow, this is great, and we want to be part of this, and let's fund these seed level initiatives and innovative ideas. And there's also another funder which you have mentioned, the Shockwave Foundation. So we kind of we have funding for startups being done by the Shockwave Foundation. We've done funding for innovations by not-for-profit initiatives or universities, for example, done by Munich Re Foundation, because innovation is not only done by businesses, it's also done by local initiatives, also done by universities. So I think in a real good partnership, all these different aspects came together, and that's why we really liked it, and we think there should be more funding available for this. So yeah, hopefully going into the second round, we can even attract more funding or follow-up funding or funding for scaling the initiatives that have been picked in the first round. This is really our hope.
Many thanks, Renate. Just on that point, the nature positive initiatives in East Africa in agriculture are perceived to be, I think, more risky in terms of investment. And there's a lot of initiative out there. As I've mentioned, there was about 120 applications, and you expect to be more in that. Why do you think it's important for funders to support these innovations in nature positive solutions? And what can be done to increase and mobilize more finances to nature positive agriculture solutions in Africa?
Well, from our point of view, funding these very early stage seed level initiatives is a way to maybe set the foundation and de-risk these initiatives to make them more attractive for investors to come in at a later stage. Of course, investors are looking for successful businesses or successful initiatives. They prefer initiatives that are less risky compared to very high risk initiatives. And being kind of at the forefront with these seed level investments, we feel that we can have an impact to de-risking investment at a later stage and for scaling. So this is why we think this is a very important stage to be investing in and supplying funding. And hopefully this will spur more investment from private investors, but also other funders that are around.
Many thanks. And touch on the point of de-risking. I'm going to come back to you, Hamisi. What are the challenges that locally led initiatives that are implementing nature positive solutions in Africa facing, and particularly looking into the access to finance? What has been the experience of SPN Africa in terms of raising financing to support initiatives that are nature positive here in Africa? Thanks.
Thank you so much for that question. I think I agree with the previous speaker. Trusting the startups, or rather the organizations that are at the growing stage, it has been a challenge. However much you'll be having very interesting innovations that has massive impacts on the ground. Still, fundraising for such initiative, it has been a challenge. But yeah, we are grateful that despite on that deep, shallow ground of not getting funds, there are other funders that they have the mission of looking at the startups and support them, which is why also we are very grateful to GRP and all the donors that have actually turned the direction towards looking for the organizations that are at the growing stage. And that actually gives motivation and energy, especially for small innovations. And I can tell you for a fact that currently these challenges are very, very serious on the ground. And it's the startups that has innovations that are really touching the lives of the people on the ground. So seeing donors or seeing the support from great organization like GRP supporting such innovation, it's a really fantastic and a recommendable thing for now. So yeah, as a challenge, yes, there's been a challenge getting funds, but then that has not break down our interest. In fact, it has motivated us to even look for more and more innovations with massive impacts. And yeah, we are glad that currently we have got some support. Yeah.
Many thanks, Hamis, for that reflection. And I'm going to move back to Moses in terms of support. I mean, yeah, you've been working with a number of this organization here in East Africa, across Africa. What do you think is sort of the business or the organizations need to do in terms to achieve scale of these initiatives that they are doing in Africa? What kind of supports that can be provided more, both in terms of technical to these businesses, in terms of increasing their chances of having their initiatives scale?
Thank you, Gerald, for that question. I think as I reflect on the businesses I've been working with in East Africa, and as you say, moving to scale and being able to grow, I think what comes to mind first is working on the leadership of these entrepreneurs. So how do we, on a personal level, for them to be able to take their businesses to the next level. I think, like I said earlier, you realize so many of them are building wonderful businesses, have a great vision, but are communicating and measuring impact and communicating the impact of what they're doing. I think that can also help them grow to scale. But one very important thing that we addressed with all the businesses, we say that as much as you have a nature positive impact, the most resilient business is the one that is on a path to profitability. So for them to be financially sustainable and strong focus on nature positive business and working with farmers is critical. So that will ensure that they are there next year and the year after. They have that sort of financial sustainability. So that's sort of the first is back to basics, focusing on their financial sustainability, path to profitability, and then measuring and communicating that impact, and then building teams, because a lot of the innovators individually are brilliant, but to get to the scale that Gerald you're alluding to needs to be done within the context of a team. So how do you move from individual contributor to a strong team leader? So that's why I say that we focus on the leadership to help them make this transition from technical leadership to business leadership. Thank you.
Thanks for this. Now I think in wrapping up these sessions, I'm gonna come back to you, Renate, on that. As the COP28 coming to an end, what sort of message or key takeaways does the organization like Munich Re have for prospective potential applicants for the RAIN challenge, but also in terms of mobilizing finances within the nature positive agriculture ecosystems? What one or two that you may have as the final words for this session?
So, sorry, Gerald, I didn't get the first part of the question. There was some technical difficulty. Could you repeat the first part? Sorry.
I'm just saying, as we are wrapping up the COP28, what's sort of the message that are coming from the Munich Re in terms of financing these nature positive solutions, and what sort of takeaway you have, if a point or two, in terms of wrapping this up as the COP28 coming to an end?
Yeah, unfortunately, I couldn't get to COP28 in person, but from what I heard and from what I get from media reports, etc., is that agriculture was one of the main topics this year at the COP, amongst others, of course. And this is really great. I think for us, we really want to continue with the RAIN challenge and funding nature positive agriculture because we feel, as I said in the beginning, it's going to be part of the solution to many different crises that we have: climate crisis, biodiversity crisis, poverty, etc. So we really want to keep funding, and hopefully COP28 help to attract more interest to these kinds of topics, to attract more organizations, more funders, more private investment into this sector and into these kinds of activities. This is really what I hope for. And I hope COP28 has done some good things in that respect. And I'm really excited to see what actually comes out of the negotiations of COP28. Also, what comes out of the general results in terms of adaptation funding, for example, and seeing how much of that funding is also going into agriculture then. So yeah, we'll have to see what kind of results we see towards the mid of next week, but hopefully we'll see more funding flowing into the sector.
Thank you, Renate. And now to you, Hamisi, at the final words. As one of the implementer in the ground and this year RAIN challenge winner, what message you have for your final words in terms of at this COP28?
Well, that's interesting. Thank you so much. I think agriculture in Africa could be a basket to feed the entire world. I mean, a lot of sources has confirmed that. And a COP giving priority into agricultural interventions that have relationship with the climate, I think that is very plus. But then as non-governmental organizations, we are we are grateful, especially within the ecosystem, now that at least our work has been recognized out there. I think what makes us happy is now these interventions are going to be impacting more and more smallholder farmers, and categorically the youth who are on top of the population, as well as the women who have been doing agriculture for decades and they haven't got what they deserve out of agriculture. So seeing this ecosystem getting support at this top level, it's a very, very plus, and we are very glad that as the private sector and also non-governmental organizations, now we are looking at aligning our strategies with these resolutions so that we keep impacting more people on the ground. And yeah, I think we are positive that we are going to experience a great transformation within the food system, that is the nutrition and the food security, but then also at now the individual level, at the livelihood in the rural areas, especially where agriculture is a dominant practice. So yeah, that's all from my end. Thank you.
Many thanks, Hamisi, for your closing remark. And I think as we mentioned when we started the session, we are going also to do the launch of the RAIN second round. I'm going to hand it over back to Jesper to kindly lead us on that, and then to hear a few more words about the RAIN, the second round, and exactly how more projects, organizations in East Africa can benefit from that financing. Jesper, back to you. Thanks a lot, my panelists, for your contributions.
Thank you so much. Yes, one thing really stuck with me there. Hamisi, thanks so much for saying the words, we are glad to be recognized, because that's exactly why we are doing this. It's recognizing all the work on the ground and what we can, how we can. I mean, this whole session, and I guess this whole COP is about, for many of us anyway, how we can recognize all those things we need to address on the ground, and recognizing the entrepreneurs like yourself and Moses. I will include you in that as well. Also an entrepreneur, also now supporting all these many projects on the ground. That's why we're doing this. Renate, thanks so much for your kind words and your support. It means a lot. And I was sitting there wondering if you read my mind, because you said all the right things about reducing the risk and building skills and capacity and so on. And that's exactly what we're doing. Gerald, thanks very much for excellent moderating. The final word you asked me to say, and that is that we're today launching RAIN 24, which is a new call for proposals. We're looking at East Africa. We are gonna expand to other parts of the world after that, Africa primarily. But right now we're looking for calls for proposals. We're looking for nature positive agriculture innovation. And I think the portal, I know the portal is open on our website. Now with that, I'm gonna give you 5 minutes back of your lives. And thank you very much for your kind attention on this Sunday. Thanks very much for logging on a Sunday, Renate and Hamisi, Moses and Gerald. Thank you very much.
Thank you.